You ever walk into a room and know, before anybody opens their mouth, exactly what kind of room it is? Not because somebody told you, because you learned it early, in fluorescent lighting, wearing a plaid skirt you didn't pick out. I'm Tasha, and today we're going back, way back, to a hallway that smelled like floor wax and somebody's mom's perfume, to a classroom where you were the only one, or one of three. Maybe five if it was a good year. If you were a black girl who went to a predominantly white school in the 80s or 90s, this one is yours. A history lesson? No. A documentary? Definitely not. Just the experience. The actual day-to-day, lunchroom to living room, Sunday night to Monday morning experience that shaped you in ways you're still discovering. Let's start with the morning. Because the morning was already different. Your mama had you up early. Hair done, clothes pressed, shoes clean. You weren't just going to school. You were representing. She never said it like that, but you understood the assignment. You were going to walk into that building looking like somebody raised you right. Because in that building, people were watching. Casually. The way people watch something they don't see every day. And your hair. Oh, your hair had its own zip code in terms of the mental energy it required. While the other girls were throwing ponytails together in the car, your mama had been in your head since 6:30. Press and curl, braids with the beads, two-strand twists that took 45 minutes and you were not allowed to touch them until you got home. Your hair wasn't just hair. It was architecture. It was engineering. And recess was the stress test. You'd get to school and sit down at your desk, and within the first 10 minutes, a hand coming toward your head. No warning, no can I, just fingers, like you were a petting zoo exhibit. Oh my God, how does it do that? Girl, it grows out of my scalp. That's how it does that. But you didn't say that. You smiled. Or you leaned away just enough to make the point without making it a thing. Because making it a thing was worse than the hand. And the questions. Lord, the questions. Do you wash it every day? Can you get it wet? Is that all yours? You became a one-girl FAQ page before you were old enough to drive. And somewhere in there you picked up a skill you didn't even realize you were learning. How to answer a dumb question without making the person feel dumb. You were doing customer service for your own existence, and you were good at it. Now, let's talk about the lunchroom. Because the lunchroom was a whole sociology class. You had your friend group. You loved them, genuinely. These were your girls. But every now and then, one of them would pull out a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on white bread with the crusts cut off, and you'd look down at your lunch, the one your mama packed with the aluminum foil and the leftovers from last night that smelled like actual seasoning, and you'd think, do I open this? Because the second you popped that lid, somebody was going to lean over and say, what is that? Friendly, curious, but curious in a way that made your food feel loud. So some of you started asking for Lunchables. Nobody actually wants Lunchables. But Lunchables were invisible. They blended in. And blending in was a sport you lettered in by 6th grade. But here's the thing about blending in. You were never fully in the blend. You knew that. You always had one foot in their world and one foot in yours. And the wild part is, both sides had opinions about it. At school, you were the cool one. The one who knew the dances. The one who could actually move when the music came on in gym class. The one who introduced the whole friend group to TLC before they heard Waterfalls on the radio. You were a cultural ambassador and you didn't even apply for the position. Then you'd go to your cousin's house on the weekend and catch a whole different energy. Why you talk like that? Like what? Like that? Like a person who goes to school? Nah, like a white girl. And there it was. The sentence that split you in half if you let it. You talk white. 3 words that could rearrange your whole week if you weren't careful. because suddenly you were defending something you didn't even know you were doing. You were just talking, the way you talked at school, the way you talked to your teachers, the way you talked to your friends. But outside that building, it sounded different. And some people had thoughts about it. You know what you actually were? Bilingual. You spoke two Americas fluently. You knew how to adjust your entire frequency depending on who was in the room. You could go from a group project presentation to a cookout conversation without a breath in between. You had range, serious range, and you built it before you hit puberty. Let's talk about the sleepovers, because the sleepovers were an event. Your mama had to approve the house first. She needed the address, the phone number, and the full name of the parent who would be home. She might have even driven by first. She trusted your friend just fine. It was the situation she needed to vet. And honestly, she was right. She was always right about that part. So you get there. Sleeping bag, overnight bag, snacks your mama packed because she wasn't sure what they'd have. And for the first hour, it's great. Pizza, movies, nail polish, mall madness if somebody had the board game, truth or dare where nobody actually picks dare. Then it's nighttime. Everybody's doing their hair routine, which for them means a scrunchie and a pillowcase. For you, it means the silk bonnet you packed at the bottom of your bag, underneath everything else so nobody would see it first. And now you have a choice. Do you pull it out? Do you explain it? Do you just sleep without it and deal with your hair in the morning? Most of you didn't pull it out. You sacrificed a good hair day for social survival. And your mama knew when you came home. She took one look at your edges and said, "You didn't wrap your hair, did you?" That wasn't a question. And then there was the other part of sleepovers. The part where everybody's flipping through magazines and ranking the cute boys from school. Jonathan is so cute. Ryan is so funny. And you're sitting there smiling and nodding because you know that the ranking system in that room does not include you. These girls are your friends. They love you. But the boys they're talking about, those boys are not checking for you. And everybody in that room already understands the math. It just stays under the surface, like a splinter nobody wants to pull. School dances. Same energy, bigger stage. Your friend group gets ready together. Everybody's got the dress, the shoes, the lip gloss situation handled. You look good. You know you look good. Your mama made sure of that. And you walk in together, a whole crew, and one by one the boys come up. They ask Jennifer, they ask Katie, they ask Megan. And you're standing there, holding your cup of punch, bopping to Boys to Men, acting like you're just vibing with the music. You're fine. You're having fun. But there's a math happening in that gym that nobody taught you how to solve. Some of you had the one white boy who was brave enough, the one who actually liked you and didn't care who saw. That was a whole movie in itself. You'd show up at home talking about Tyler, and your mama's eyebrow would go up so high it almost left her face. She didn't say no. She just said, And that, carried about 14 paragraphs of opinion. Now the music thing. The music thing was real. Your locker had a mirror and a mixtape. That mixtape was a split personality on cassette. Side A was what you played in your Walkman at school. Madonna, Bon Jovi, Depeche Mode, maybe some Alanis Morissette if it was the 90s. Side B was what you played at home. SWV, Jodeci, Mary J., anything your older cousin put you on to. At school, you were the girl who knew all the words to Livin' on a Prayer. At the family barbecue, you accidentally hummed Cyndi Lauper, and your auntie looked at you like you'd brought a casserole with raisins in it. What is that? It's a song, Auntie. It's a good song. Mm-hmm. You didn't have a crisis about it. You just had two playlists. And honestly, that served you well. Because while everybody else was locked into one lane, you had the whole highway. You knew every word to End of the Road and Don't Stop Believin'. Call it what you want. You had taste that didn't come with a fence around it. Let's talk about the classroom for a second, because something used to happen in the classroom that a lot of you remember. February would come around and suddenly you were the expert. Every Black History Month, the teacher would turn to you, sometimes literally turn their body in your chair's direction, like you were about to deliver a TED Talk on the entire history of your people. You were 11. You had a book report due on Where the Red Fern Grows, and now you were supposed to explain the middle passage because Miss Henderson needed a student perspective. Or the history lesson where slavery came up, and every head in the room would swivel toward you for a reaction, like you were going to raise your hand and say, "Yep, that was us." You learned to keep your face perfectly still during those moments. Neutral, relaxed, breathing normal. 30 kids looking at you and you're looking straight ahead like you're watching paint dry. Because reacting in any direction was going to become the story of the day. But outside of February, you were just a student. You raised your hand. You did the work. A lot of you were in the advanced classes, the honor roll, the spelling bees, and some of you heard the worst compliment in the English language. "You're so articulate," said with genuine surprise, like the baseline expectation was that you wouldn't be. That one landed in a place that was hard to explain to people who thought they were being nice. But here's what was also true, and this is the part people forget. You had fun, real fun, like running through the sprinkler, passing notes in class, riding bikes until the street lights came on fun. Your friends were your friends. They came to your birthday parties and you went to theirs. They knew your mama and your mama knew theirs. You braided friendship bracelets at camp and split airheads at the bus stop. It wasn't all navigation. It wasn't all calculation. There were days when you were just a girl, just a kid in a classroom, laughing at something dumb, forgetting about all of it for a whole afternoon. Those days mattered. They were real, and they belonged to you just as much as the complicated ones. You did all of it without a manual. There was no playbook for being a Black girl in a white school in 1987. Your mama gave you what she had. Your daddy gave you what he had. Your grandma gave you a look on the way out the door that said, "Don't embarrass this family." And that was your entire orientation packet. And you figured it out. You figured out when to speak and when to wait, when to laugh and when to let it go, when to wear the bonnet and when to stuff it back in the bag, when to explain your food and when to just eat the Lunchables. You built a whole operating system for existing in two worlds, and you built it before you could vote. Some of you went on to colleges that looked like those schools. Some of you went to HBCUs and walked into a lecture hall full of women who looked like you, and nobody asked to touch your hair. Nobody leaned over your lunch. Nobody needed you to represent anything. You just sat down. Some of you married someone from that school. Some of you moved across the country and never looked back. But all of you, every single one, carry that cafeteria in your bones. You were 11 and already somebody's learning experience, which is a weird thing to be when you're also trying to figure out long division. You were somebody's first Black friend, their first Black classmate, their first Black anything, And they probably didn't even realize how much of a job that was for you. But you weren't thinking about any of that at the time. You were thinking about whether your crush was going to say hi in the hallway. You were thinking about who was going to sit next to you at lunch. You were thinking about whether your mama was going to let you get those shoes. You were just a girl in a school trying to get through Tuesday. And you did. Every single one. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.